I hope you guys are ready and excited for part 2 of my holiday gift guide. Today we're going to be focusing on nonfiction, fiction, historical fiction, just all different types of books for the readers in your lives. Let's get started. Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing very, very well. I hope you guys got to see part 1 of my holiday gift guide for all of those young readers in your life and those people who enjoy reading young adult fiction and middle grade fiction. So many great titles in that video that I hope one of them winds up being given as a gift by one of you this holiday season, and you should tell me all about it in the comments below. I love to hear about it. Would love to hear about it. Today we're going to be focusing on fiction and nonfiction, historical fiction, just all that other stuff that you guys may be looking to give and get ideas about to give to the readers in your life. Now, there are quite a stack of books here, so I really should get started. We're going to be starting with nonfiction. If you guys are at all been watching my channel, you know that this is the year of the memoir for me, and so I could not recommend a memoir. Now, it was so hard to choose the memoir I was going to recommend. I could definitely have recommended Said Jones's. I could have recommended The Collected Schizophrenias, Homesick by Jennifer Croft. I could have recommended so many. But I am going with In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado for the memoir reader in your life. Now, this is Carmen's memoir about her time in an abusive relationship with her girlfriend and how that really formed her as a person and how she turned that into her who she was, who she became, how she learned to give and receive love after that relationship ended. Now that seems like a dark topic, but this book has a lot of hope in it, and it is beautifully, gorgeously written, and has so much to say about queer relationships in general, abuse within relationships, mental and physical, and also how that affects people and their own sort of idea of who they are and who they represent to the world. Carmen Maria Machado is a phenomenal writer, and she will take you on an amazing journey. At times it is very tough, but at the end of the book, you really do leave with such a sense of hope, and it is a memoir I think all people who love memoirs should read. So that is why it has made it on this list, and that is In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. Yes, that book is so good. One of my favorites, absolutely one of my favorites of this year. So let's say you are trying to get something for a nonfiction reader in your life who likes nonfiction about books. Let me recommend The Library Book by Susan Orlean. I'm holding that up there because the cover is a little bit. I actually checked this out from the library. My friend Chris Wolak of the Book Cougars highly recommends this book. She actually met Susan Orlean at Book Expo America. I was somewhere else. But this is a book that sort of conquers two things. One, it talks about the Los Angeles Public Library system and the library system in America in and of itself. It also goes into investigating and discussing the 1986 Los Angeles Public Library fire, what we know, and I use we as the collective we, about who started that fire and how that all came in, that investigation. And it's also about Susan's love of the library system in and of itself. And I think this is a book for nonfiction readers who love books and the stories of books. And I think this is actually a good book for people who are looking to break into nonfiction because it has such a propelling story that goes along with it. So that's The Library Book by Susan Orlean, and this is out from B&T, I believe. Simon & Schuster. Simon & Schuster. So look at that. Look at how beautiful that is. It's a beautiful hard copy, naked hard copy too, so it'll be a beautiful, easy to wrap book. The next book I'm going to be recommending, I actually haven't read, but it is my friend Pete's #1 nonfiction read of 2019. And so I'm recommending it to you guys as his recommendation for the nonfiction readers in your life. And that is Say Nothing, A True Story of Murder and Memory in Northern Ireland by Patrick Radden Keefe. Now this is, well, it's two stories, right? So this is set and does a lot of investigation into the Trouble. It's called the in troubles of Northern Ireland and all of that. But this is really the story of a woman who in 1972, a mother of 10, who was taken from her home, disappeared, and was never found again. And then in 2003, a body was found, and her family believes that it was her body. So what Patrick does is he investigates into her murder and also discusses and comes into and gives historical perspective on the troubles of Northern Ireland. This book was longlisted for the National Book Award for Nonfiction. A number of my viewers actually thought that this would win that award, and it comes with the recommendation of my friend Pete. So I checked it out from the library, and I'm going to be reading it very soon, but it sounds like a book that would be perfect for a nonfiction lover in your life. So that is Say Nothing, A True Story of Murder and Memory in Northern Ireland by Patrick Radden Keefe, and this is out now from... Hold on one second. So I said B&T on the last one. That's the library I checked it out from. Yep, that's what I'm having. This is a Doubleday book, so this is out from Doubleday. Okay, now we're going to go into historical fiction. 2 books to recommend in historical fiction for you. Oh, I have them all stacked over here, trying to be organized. The first book I'm going to recommend is The Women of the Copper Country by Mary Doria Russell. This is out from Atria Books. I have to say, when I finished this book, I didn't know that I would be thinking about it as much as I have since it occurred. This is really the story of the start of the union process within the copper mines, and this one takes place in Calumet, Michigan. So this starts in the early 1900s when a young woman decides that she is going to lead a union strike against the organizers and really the owners of the city of Calumet, Calumet and Tekla, who own this copper mine, and to do more for the people who work in the mines. Better wages, getting time off, safer conditions. And this book investigates how that affects this entire town and this entire group of people. There's a lot of immigrants that are affected by this, and the story of how they were brought into Calumet, Michigan to do this work. It talks about the dangers of this work. There is one of the most evil villains in this book, the guy who manages this town and these mines for Calumet and Tekla, who was a real person, who was a horrible individual. This book sometimes gets bogged down a little bit in the detail of everything that's going on. However, it becomes so important to the reality that Mary Doria Russell is trying to create. You will, about halfway through, just get swept up in this entire story as you learn about what these people are trying to do in order to better their situation, and it is simple requests. A day off to spend with their family, reasonable 8-hour working days, just more wages, safer conditions, but the fight against them is huge. I learned a lot about the labor disputes. People were brought in to break up union organizing. Yeah, it is a hair-raising tale, but also well-told and full of great characters. So that's The Women of the Copper Country by Mary Doria Russell, out from Atria Books, and this is the historical fiction recommendations. Next, I'm going to recommend Inland by Taya Obreht. I've talked about this book a couple of times on my channel. This book was inspired when Taya heard a podcast about the camel brigade that was brought into the Arizona area of the United States, and how that sort of became this mythical group of people, because the people that lived there at the time that it was brought in didn't know what camels were. So when they saw them, it was like this mythical beast had just appeared within the desert region of the southwest of the United States. This is also the story of 2 people, an immigrant here who is on the run from the law, and he is trying to start his life over after being sort of raised to be a criminal after his father passed away. And then we have a housewife who lives in Arizona and just is exhausted by the day-to-day difficulty of being a person on the frontier in Arizona, struggling with water, family, all of that stuff, in a world, in an area of the United States that was not hospitable to people, really. So this is Inland by Taya Obreht, and yeah, I think there are a lot of people that would really like this book. So I think if you have a historical fiction reader in your life, give this one a go. Okay, next we're going to go on to just good old-fashioned fiction with a big old saga type family saga slash story saga. I don't even know how to explain it, but it's just solid fiction for the readers in your life that just want a book that they will dive into and get lost in. So I'm going to recommend If You Want to Make God Laugh by Bianca Marais. This is out from Putnam right now, set in South Africa. This is the story of 3 different women and how their lives come together and collide. We have a woman who has left the Catholic Church in disgrace, who is returning home after she gets a message regarding a young man who is ill and has been hurt and is in the hospital. We also have another woman who is in the process of getting a divorce. She attempts to get attention. She says she was not trying to commit suicide, but it very much looks like she was. She is an alcoholic. She is used to a certain type of lifestyle, and unfortunately everything falls apart and she has to return home. We have a young woman who is pregnant via rape, and she is trying to decide what she's going to do with her life when her mother makes a decision that changes everything forever. It is so good. You guys will be totally brought in to, actually you guys, the reader that you give this to as a gift will just be enveloped in an amazing story about 3 amazing women. You will cry your eyes out, you will feel hope, you will feel love, and everything about this book will be fantastic, I promise. And that's If You Want to Make God Laugh by Bianca Marais. If you are looking for a book that sort of is a little bit more, I don't want to say tongue-in-cheek, because it definitely has, it does have gravitas to it, but it just made me feel happy as I read it. That is The Editor by Rowley. This is a story of a young man who is writing a book when it is picked up to be published, and the editor that has decided that she would like to publish it is Jackie Kennedy Onassis. It is about their relationship together. This boy, as he writes the book, he is writing a book, really a fictionalized account of his relationship with his mother. There's a lot of strain and family drama there, and then you also are getting the dynamic of Jackie at the end of her life as things are sort of coming down, and what she's doing and how she has sort of decided what she's going to do at this point in her life. And it kind of just all comes together in just such a lovely, heartwarming tale. And it's just brilliant. It's really, really good. So that's The Editor by Rowley, out also from Putnam. Oh, 2 Putnam books in a row. I am going to recommend 2 books right now that I'm calling my hugs for the heart. If you just need a book just to make you feel just a tad a little bit better, let me recommend The Library of Lost and Found by Phaedra Patrick. This is out from Park Row Books in the United States. This is the story of a woman who is she sort of put her life on hold to move home, take care of her parents. They have since passed, and she works part-time at a library where she is taken for granted. One day, she is sort of gifted this book that is supposedly written by her grandmother that supposedly died 3 years before the inscription in it that was written to her. So she goes on a hunt to see and find if her grandmother is still alive, or what really happened when her grandmother just disappeared from her life. All I'll say is that this is a family story with so much heart, makes you feel so good, so many great characters. If you like A Man Called Obreht, if you like books like that, if you liked Keeper of Lost Things by Ruth Hogan, if you liked The Reluctant Fortune Teller, those type of books, you will really like The Library of Lost and Found by Phaedra Patrick. Last but not least in this part of the book thing is the book that really just touched my heart, and I just loved it so very much. That is Little Faith by Nicholas Butler. All I'm going to say about this book is this is the story of a grandfather and his love for his daughter and grandson, and how and choices regarding that he has to make in order to make sure his family stays together. His daughter winds up getting involved with a man who is sort of running a religious, I'm going to use the word organization in quotation marks, and get sucked into that and some of the decisions that are made regarding that. And our main character has to make choices in order to keep both his daughter and his grandson in his life. And it's about love. It's about family. It's about choice. And it's really just a great book about people, and it is beautifully written, and it made me cry. It made me love it so much. And that is Little Faith by Nicholas Butler, out from Echo Books. I really want Nicholas Butler to come to the West Coast because I will take all of his books that I have on the shelf and get them all signed because I am sort of a super fan. I can't not recommend for you my 2 favorite books for the year that I read, and they will be in my top 10 book video that I'm doing, but you kind of have to make sure that they wind up in a video about giving gifts because they are the best books that I've read. One would be The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa. I've talked about this book 100 times. If you have someone in your life that loves dystopian books that look at the world from a different perspective, this is about a little island where items disappear from the collective consciousness. We have a young woman who tries to save a man who is unable to forget these items like the rest of the populace. And as things start to disappear, how that affects both her world and her relationship to it. This book is freaking brilliant. Shortlisted for the National Book Award for Translated Fiction. It was my pick to win. I was heartbroken that it did not. I think this book is utterly brilliant. And that is The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa. And that cover, you guys, just take a moment. Take a moment. Brilliant cover. Good job, Pantheon. Okay, last but not least, my favorite read of the year. Please give as many copies of The Revisioners by Margaret Wilkerson Sexton to as many people as you can. The story of a multi-generational story of a family really focusing on the great-great-grandmother she has 2 stories. One in the 1800s where she's young and she's escaping slavery, Josephine is, and one in 1924 where her tides have changed. She owns all this land and a young white woman moves in across the street that changes her life forever. And this is also the story of her great-great-granddaughter Ava, who is down on her luck and decides to move in with her white grandmother. She's of mixed race, with her son, and how that informs her about how her life has been and sort of the dynamics of racism in current modern America. This book is brilliant. Do you need more from me than that? Do you? It's brilliant. And it is my favorite read of 2019, The Revisioners by Margaret Wilkerson Sexton, out from Counterpoint. Please buy it. Please give it as gifts. Please give it to yourself because you will love it. I promise, promise, promise. So that is quite a stack of books. I think I got a little bit of everything for everybody in this stack. I hope you guys found something to give to the readers in your life. And I hope if you don't, you found something for yourself, wrap it and put it under the tree and say it's from Russell at Ink and Paper Blog. As always, I really appreciate it if you're a return subscriber. If you're new to my channel, thank you so very much. As always, I'm having a hard time finishing my talk. As always, I recommend shopping locally, reading globally. Until next time, I wish you happy reading, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye!